Nah, that's good. Okay, my friends, let me introduce you to what's happening. I'm So Amritpal Singh, we've talked about it. We've talked about Amritpal Singh in the past, and as of late, man, Twitter and Instagram both have suspended Amritpal Singh's Instagram account. It's been banned. User not found. It's not the first time this has happened to Sikhs or Sikh activists. Probably will never be the last time either, because for some reason they love banning our shit. It was crazy as now that it's kind of like a rite of passage almost, that once they ban your shit, that's when you know you're on their radar and they're really paying attention to what's going on. But yeah, Amritpal Singh, latest victim of this. Instagram blocked his account. Not so fond of Amritpal Singh's message, I guess. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because like you do see some accounts who are always talking about Ray, wanting him to get him banned. The most interesting question: why isn't he being stopped right now by the state of the center? Like they're stopping his accounts, but the voice of Punjab is basically they're not a big fan of Amritpal Singh. If this hate monger Amritpal Singh is not instigating youth, then what else is he doing? Let's hear the clip that they.
ਪੱਤਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਚੈਨਲ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੱਲ ਦਾ ਰਾਗ ਲਾਪ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਅਮਰਤਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਤੇ ਯਕੀਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਇਹ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ। ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਕੇਸਾਧਾਰੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜੇ ਕੇਸਾਧਾਰੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਠੇਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੰਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਤੋਂ ਮੰਨੀ ਜਾਈਏ।
So this is what they're calling a hate monger.
ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਵੇ ਜੇ ਇਸ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ।
So this is where like India's like irritated. All he said was, they're like, do you respect, Hindustan? And he basically said, well, that depends. Do you respect Sikhs as being Sikhs, or do you think of them as Hindus with long hair? And then if that's the case, if you can't respect us, what respect do you expect from us for you? So yeah, the Voice of Punjab is a very anti-Amritpal Singh, anti-Sikh to a degree account, seems, from my friggin' thing. And I don't think Amritpal Singh said anything wrong in that little thing that they're trying to show as him hate-mongering. But nonetheless, his account's been banned. And it's not the first time, right? Jagtar Johal, Free Juggy now. This account, which isn't even Jagtar Johal's account, but it's an account lobbying on his behalf, they got suspended. And this person asks, I thought when Elon Musk was taking over Twitter, he was going to promote and allow free speech. Why is an innocent British national, Jagtar Singh Johal Juggy now, account suspended? Right now, if we go to it, it's back up now. So these accounts do get suspended. They get flagged, they get taken down, and then come back up. But it's always interesting why these accounts get banned. And for all we know, it could still be banned in India, but visible here, which is weird, right? Like, you think it's one of those. So you guys when that happens, it's totally state government is pushing it. But then it's kind of like, why are you afraid of what this account's trying to ask for? It's not the first time, right? Like, even his brother's account, Jagtar Singh Johal's brother, his account got blocked too. His account has been withheld in India in response to legal demand. So they're friggin' petitioning that these accounts get banned and blocked, which is really low bar for countries that consider themselves democratic when they go after Scottish citizens just trying to speak the truth of what's going on there. But it's not the first time. And obviously people on Twitter are asking, they're like, did something go wrong? Instagram and Twitter here. Does anyone know why these accounts have been deactivated? Which is, drum roll, please. I mean, look, it happens at the government's behest. This guy knows what's going on, right? And then obviously it's kind of like, well, didn't Elon Musk promise free speech for all? Didn't he say, when I come in, we're going to bring some transparency to this. You're all allowed to talk that shit. But even Elon, my friends, admits that every social media company is engaged in heavy censorship with significant involvement of and at times explicit directions of the government. Google frequently Google frequently makes links disappear, for example, which is kind of like the promise that Elon Musk was going to come in and he was really going to open it up. But look, his legal companies, Instagram, Facebook, they're at the behest of the governments and countries that they work in. So in India, if Facebook and Twitter want to continue getting money from sponsors there, they got to do whatever the Indian government asks. And it's kind of crazy just how much these companies and how much these countries ask of these social media companies, where Elon's kind of showing that, look, even Google is told to make links disappear, which is wild, right? Like, say you're trying to write something, and here Glenn Greenwald, when Dems controlled both the House of Congress and the White House and exec branch, they repeatedly summoned big tech CEOs and openly and explicitly threatened them. If you don't censor more, you will be punished. Like, governments really, really don't like social media unless it's, helping push their own narratives of things, which came to light big time with the Twitter files recently, right? Eventually, even during the farmers' protest, we saw Instagram, when the sick hashtag got blocked, coming back out and saying, okay, yeah, we even blocked it, and we're working to unblock on Facebook. We're just investigating why this happened. We will follow up today with more information. This caused a lot of outcry. This was back in 2020. And they're like, yeah, it's been unblocked. And, thanks for your patience. We investigated this issue and found that these hashtags were mistakenly blocked March 7th. Following a report that it was inaccurately reviewed by our teams, we become aware these hashtags were blocked today following feedback received from the community and quickly moved to unblock them. This is an incredibly and painful time. So because of how big and what was going on with the farmers' protests, Instagram was able to kind of say, oh, hold on, maybe something fishy is going on, and we're able to unblock this stuff. But the fact that they continuously block activist accounts today, and they don't really have to speak to it because they're not going to get that same kind of backlash that they got in 2020 from blocking farmer protest accounts. But it's the wildest thing, man. And look, it's not just activists. Jazzy B, when he was, Jazzy B, one of the biggest musicians, he was going forward. His shit got blocked. Of all people, right? Even he goes like, yo, what the fuck? So when he got blocked, I think a lot more people, the general public, was privy to what's going on. And yeah, before I change topics, Twitter recently, Elon's just been publishing these files, the Twitter files, where he's kind of going through and looking at all the emails, all the stuff that was suppressed by Twitter's board and Twitter's CEO and Twitter's own internal moderation teams, and just not even leaking it, but putting it out there and releasing it. And I think they do almost one thread a week. And this is pertaining to COVID specifically, where the US government was asking Twitter to remove parts of whatever was coming out regarding COVID coverage that wasn't to their liking, discrediting doctors and other experts who disagreed by suppressing ordinary users, including some sharing the CDC's own data. And that kind of falls into the, hold on, is this a conspiracy theory thing? But this is Twitter, Elon Musk releasing all the information, all the takedown requests that came down, right? And it's kind of providing that Twitter did have a secret blacklist. It anything the FBI requested, they kind of just did, because obviously they don't want their ad revenue and revenue stakes in their bank accounts frozen. So it's look, what you need us to do, we'll do it, right? And it's also kind of alarming that the free press hasn't really, not the free press as in the journal, but all media hasn't really jumped on the Twitter files being released and that content held therein. Maybe they feel like they've been left out of the information, but it's been pretty quiet. The only time you can read about the Twitter files is on Twitter, but I've never seen it in the Toronto Star, Globe and Mail, or anything like that. It's just here and there it comes on Twitter, and it might show up on my feed. But it's not so much that I want to focus on the fact that COVID suppression stories were suppressed, but the fact that just how much government oversight these big companies play into, right? At the onset of the pandemic, according to meeting notes, the Trump admin was especially concerned about the panic buying. They came looking for help from tech companies to combat misinformation about runs on grocery stores, but there were runs on grocery stores. So it's not even just the Biden government or left versus the right. Legitimately, government in general uses their power to control social media, right? The Trump White House, specifically Michael Grazios, led to the Trump administration's call for help from tech companies. Areas of focus included conspiracies around 5G cell towers, runs on grocery store, and misinformation that could stoke panic buying. It wasn't just Twitter, though. The meetings with the Trump White House were also attended by Google, Facebook, Microsoft. So all social media companies, they all bow to the whim of whoever's in charge. And obviously, to that end, like the Indian government, they'll suppress Amritpal Singh's account or every Sikh activist account if they see fit, if they want to. If they're like, look, we don't like what you're saying. You're arguing for Sikhs to stop drinking alcohol? Yeah, that's not cool, bro. We like it when y'all drink alcohol. We like it when y'all don't know about your past and history. So chill. And one of the things that I thought was interesting here, it was that Twitter used AI to help in filtering out misinformation. Because obviously these tech companies, it's like not all malicious. They legit want to control bad information and bad propaganda from coming out. So they do have these tools in place. They have AI, they have machine learning in place. And then on top of that, they have contractors. But the contractors aren't people who have contextual knowledge of these issues, is what they're saying. They were given like a rubric of, hey, did this fall in this like page of events? If not, block. If it did, okay, maybe it's okay. So the fact that, and obviously, Twitter can't be, and Twitter employees obviously couldn't be expected to have context on every single world event and be able to filter out disinformation and lies and propaganda. But when they do some sort of moderation on things that they're not fully knowledgeable, such as the Sikh struggle and what's going on in India and just that kind of stuff, it makes the whole debate very, very much one-sided. And I'm a boost myself here. I wrote a thing about for Boz last year, 2021, talking about this, because at that time it was kind of like, well, look, Twitter, Instagram, all these guys are going to always bend the knee for big government and any government request. So what we should be doing is not putting all our eggs in one basket, not being so reliant on the Twitters and the Instagrams and, the whatevers, the Facebooks. We need to be able to communicate our messages through multiple channels, through things that aren't as heavily government regulated or that governments just have a hard time regulating, like the mastodons, like federated services, like having websites that can exist and aren't just on a single host, but that are easily clonable, that can be like kept alive even after governments have taken down. It's like you cut down one head of a snake, this stuff should just continue to spiral, and we should, as a community, try and find ways to do that. Elon was just kind of like, look, there's going to be more coming out soon, talking about how even like doctors and researchers, and this is COVID specifically, were suppressed by government from being able to talk. But it's kind of crazy that Elon is really, to his credit too, he's shedding light on this stuff, right? And look, he comes out, government paid Twitter millions of dollars to censor info from the public, which is wild. And India is doing the exact same thing for Twitter in India. They're probably paying a buttload of money to make sure that narratives that they don't find convenient are kept off from going up. And what I would love to see Elon do specifically to this end is all government requests and thing, there should be a page you should be able to look up. And even now when you go to tweets and it shows a little box of, correcting a tweet, should be like, hey, this tweet has been removed, show it. But then a box underneath, at the bequest of a government request here. Just make that stuff a little bit more open. So if Twitter is choosing to suppress something, say, hey, the government asked us to take down, hey, this tweet received a shit ton of user reports and we have an AI automatically removed it. Tell us why something got taken down. Add that level of transparency at the very least, But I'm sure governments wouldn't like that. That would probably drive them crazy too. And yeah, I was looking at that because I'm thinking of solutions. Like, how can we keep this stuff from just getting taken down every single time? And it's not just, Twitter. Sidhu Moosewala's friggin' SYL song on YouTube that got blocked in India. So, like, even music videos that are just kind of, and SYL had nothing like crazy. It was more of an educational song, and it's just talking about like things that should be in his history books, and people should just know that have gone on from the 70s onwards, or even before that maybe, but even that stuff's just getting blocked. So it's kind of like, it's ever reaching to governments just overextending their thing. So how do we actually like combat this? I was looking at this thing. It's called Planktos, which is a cool thing, but I don't think it actually has. It's still in pretty alpha releases. But like, there's tech out there. We have the Mastodons, we have Telegrams, we have, I guess, the Planktos and other ways to like really decentralize like our resources. So like every Instagram post on Amritpal Singh's thing should be mirrored and torrented and served on a website using something like Planktos, where stuff like that just continues to live. And that way, hey, they took down his Instagram account. Oh, what's that place that we go to for like that kind of stuff? Oh, hit this URL up and it'll load it. And this stuff, really what it does is like BitTorrent, and everyone everywhere kind of hosts a part of that website. So if someone's like forcefully asked to remove it, the website can keep existing. All I'm kind of getting at is there's ways we can keep shit up. And I think, and I say we, meaning I should probably get on this. The biggest problem is like the reason Twitters and Instagrams are around is because they can reach so many people. If you put up your own website, the number of people actually being able to access your content is obviously, your audience is almost nil. It's kind of only available to people who know about it. But I don't know, we need backups, and we need ways to communicate those backups. And eventually, you know, you got to keep fighting with the Twitters and Instagrams and letting people know this is what's going on. But the fact that at the snap of fingers, entire things can just disappear is kind of wild.